If a user wants to run any application or a program on a computer system, he might use the resources of the computer system to do so. This application could be a browser, it could be a PowerPoint application, a text editor, or any other application or software that the user might be using. The resources of the computer system would be the main memory or the RAM where the application would be loaded. This particular program would be executed by the processor or the CPU. The results would be displayed on any output device like a monitor. The user can take inputs using any input device like a keyboard, and there would be a secondary storage like a hard disk. Now suppose the user wants to run a program where he has a string hello world and he wants to print this string on an output device. So how is this string actually displayed on the monitor screen? The string hello world is available in the memory, which is the main memory. From here it would be retrieved by the processor. The processor would add certain attributes to it. These attributes would be related to the display of that particular string. It could be the depth or the color. The string and the attributes would be sent to the graphics card and onwards to the monitor. Now this is a complex and hardware dependent process. What the user has done has simply written one statement or one command over here, printf. This particular command is taking care of this complex process. Now suppose if the user was asked to take care of the display part as well, instead of writing this printf, he would have to write a complete program to handle the output device. Similarly, he would be required to write a complete set of statements to handle the input devices as well. Right now, this complex process is being taken care of by this printf statement, which brings into picture the manager of the resources, which is the operating system, to take care of the display on the monitor screen. Thus, we can say that the operating system is providing an abstraction to the user so that the user is not bothered with handling of the various devices or the resources of the system. If we take an abstract view, we can see that we have the hardware at the lowest level. This hardware comprises of the processor, the memory and the input-output devices, which provide the basic computing services. At the topmost level, we have the user, which could be the people or other machines, who want to use this lowest level to run certain application programs like the compilers, web browsers, word processors, etc. For the user to use these hardware resources at the lowest level, the OS provides the abstraction and controls and coordinates the use of this hardware amongst various applications. So we can say that the operating system is the program or the manager of the system, which is managing the various hardware resources of the system. If we look at this diagram over here and we see that this OS is providing the kind of management that is required between the applications which are running on the hardware. Any application which requires to use any hardware resource would have to send a request to the operating system, and the operating system would manage the resources on behalf of that particular application. So if the text editor wants to use the processor, he would have to send a request to the OS, who would then coordinate the usage of this processor to the text editor. So any application or software requiring the services of the resources of the system would have to send a request to the operating system, which is managing all the devices and the resources of the system. Now suppose if the user had direct access to the devices or the resources of the system, suppose the operating system was not present, now this application could take control of the processor and would not release it, with the result that the other applications or other users, if it is a server system, they would be waiting in queue for this particular application to release the processor. With the availability of the operating system makes sure that all the users get a fair usage of the system resources. So another goal of the operating system or the task of the operating system is to use the hardware resources in such a manner that all the applications are given a fair share of the resources. We also know that this application 1 should not be able to access the address space of another application A2 or say A3. This is also managed by the operating system, which provides privacy and security between the applications, and it runs the applications in isolation. So then, what is an operating system? We can say that the operating system is a program which acts as an interface between the user of a computer and the system hardware. What are the goals of the operating system? It executes user programs and makes solving user problems easier. The user does not have to bother with the control or management of the system devices. The operating system allows the applications to share resources. It does not give the resources to one application only. It will allow all the applications to use the resources in a fair manner. Also, the OS will take care that the computer resources are used in an efficient manner. That means the utilization of those resources is to the maximum. The next goal of the operating system is to protect the applications from each other so that they run with complete security and privacy. So these are the features of the operating system and a basic introduction. We would look more into the details in coming lectures.